What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Nothing But Skills, and today we're bringing you guys another division video. Today's video is going to be talking about the next global event in division 1.8.3, and that's global event Blackout. If you don't know, the global event will be starting in a couple of days. It starts on October 22nd and runs all the way to October 31st. So that's exactly 1 week, just like every other global event. And there's actually some really good items that you guys can pick up during this global event. So if you're still grinding for those gear sets, if you're still trying to complete some gear sets, you might want to pay attention to this video. So let's get into global event Blackout. So what are the modifiers for this global event? Well, the modifiers for this global event are Blackout, Extreme Blackout, and Total Blackout. Well, the first modifier, Blackout, is always active. Agents are equipped with shock ammo that stuns enemies. Shooting or running builds your charge meter. The more charge, the more damage you inflict. Now, the thing you need to keep in mind is every time you shoot your weapon, you're charging your weapon. The higher the charge is, the more damage you're going to do. Now, for this modifier, you don't really have to worry about too much because it's really only focused on you putting out a lot more damage. But in addition to putting out more damage, when you're running, this also charges your bar. This will never cause you to self-shock. That only happens when you're shooting or you miss a melee. The next modifier, Extreme Blackout, is Blackout behavior. Plus, you can instantly kill enemies with overcharged melee attacks. But if you miss, you will stun yourself and your allies. Before we go into more detail about Extreme Blackout, let me tell you what the modifier Total Blackout is, because a lot of the stuff that apply to Extreme Blackout also apply to Total Blackout. So the next modifier is Total Blackout. Extreme Blackout behavior, plus your charge meter will cool down faster when you're closer to other group members. So with Extreme Blackout and Total Blackout, one thing you guys really need to pay attention to is the charge above your health bar. As soon as it turns red, you have the risk of shocking yourself, and depending on your situation and where you're at, you might even down yourself. So you have to kind of pay attention always to that bar above your health bar. To avoid downing yourself with shock, when you switch your weapons, each time you switch your weapons, it will reset your charge. Kind of like when you're in the underground and there's shock ammo on. You remember, if you shoot your weapon too long, your charge meter goes up, and once you swap, you can keep shooting your weapon. Well, it's the same thing. Just pay attention to your meter. What I like doing is I like running a Lone Star build. I'll use my Big Alejandro and I'll switch to my secondary Big Alejandro, and then that way I always avoid getting shocked. So I'm going to use the same method that I use in the underground towards this global event. Now, another thing you guys can do is use your immune box. Your immune box will keep you from getting shocked. You can stand in it, and even with your meter filling up, you won't get shocked. This is the same tactic that I use in the underground. I put my immune box down, I can stay in there and I fight, especially when I'm fighting hunters. That's what I always do. I drop my immune box really quick, I stay in my box, I use my Big Alejandro, and I just mow them down. And if you have a Lone Star build, you're gonna drop them really quick. Another thing you need to pay attention to is when Total Blackout is active, you need to keep an eye on blue and red lines between you and the agents on your team. Red lines that connect you and other agents when you're overcharged by shooting or missing a melee will give yourself and your teammates a shock. The ally shock is slightly less than the personal shock that you're going to receive, but they still receive a shock. Now, the blue line that connects both of you means that the overcharge bar, the shock bar, will cool down a lot quicker when you guys have that connected. So one key tip I want you to pay attention to is when you have Extreme and Total Blackout active, you can melee kill any NPCs when you have enough charge. For that to happen, you need to have your charge in the red segment of the charge meter. One thing you need to keep in mind is when you're doing legendary missions, those legendary NPCs can do the same to you, so they can down you pretty quick. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about the global event modifiers. I feel like this global event is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of fun playing it. The modifiers seem pretty cool. I wasn't able to play the PTS, but reading over all the modifiers, Blackout, Extreme Blackout, and Total Blackout, I think this is going to be pretty fun. Now, the next question is going to be, what is the playlist for this global event? So let's get into that. So the first mission that's going to be on the playlist is going to be Hudson Refugee Camp, and you can do this on normal, hard, and challenging. Now, I think this is going to be the go-to mission for farming GE credits. I think it's going to be a little bit better than farming Lexington, but of course, Lexington is really easy to do, and it's muscle memory. Once you get into Lexington, you can run through it with your eyes closed. So if you want to play Lexington more than Hudson Refugee Camp, you can, but remember, you're going to get a little bit more GE credits for playing the playlist, and Hudson Refugee Camp is pretty good, and I recommend doing that one. Now, I'm probably going to switch back and forth. I'll play Hudson Refugee Camp, and then I'll play Lexington because they're both fun to play, and they're easy to grind when you want to just get a lot lot of GE credits. Next mission on the playlist is going to be Lincoln Tunnel Camp, another mission you can do on challenging. A lot of you guys might want to do this one. I think it takes a little bit longer than doing Hudson Refugee Camp, but you can also do this on challenging, so that means you can still get the same amount of GE credits that you could get in Hudson. The first legendary mission you're going to be able to do is going to be Times Square Power Relay, and this is going to give you more GE credits than you can get doing the challenging playlist. But remember, this is still going to take you a little bit longer. Now, if you have a really good 4-man team, you can run through this pretty quick, but I still think this takes longer than running Hudson Refugee Camp or just running Lexington. You can do missions outside of the playlist and still get a lot of GE credits, but I'm just telling you what's in the playlist. So Times Square Power Relay is going to be the first legendary mission you can do. So far the playlist is pretty good. There's 2 challenging missions so far and then 1 legendary mission. The next mission on the playlist is another legendary mission. So you have Grand Central Station, which is going to give you more GE credits. Now this is crazy. You have 2 legendary missions so far and 2 challenging missions. This has never really happened during any other global event where you're playing playlists. This is the first time that we've had 2 legendary missions and 2 challenging missions on the same playlist. Usually you have 2 hard, 1 challenging, and 1 legendary, and then you have an incursion. So you already have a lot of opportunity to get a lot of GE credits just from running the playlist. Now the final mission, which is one of my favorite incursions to do, is Falcon Loss. You can do this on Heroic, and this is a pretty easy mission to do, but it's going to take you around 30 minutes with a good 4-man team, just depending on how good you guys are. I personally like farming challenging missions because I can run through them a lot faster, and you can run through it with a lot of randoms. Now once you get into these legendary missions and these heroic missions, it changes a little. So if you do have a good 4-man team, then it doesn't really matter, but if you don't, I would kind of stay away from the harder missions and stick to challenging missions. And remember, if you can't find a good 4-man team, just do matchmaking at Lexington Event Center. It'll be on challenging and you will still be able to get GE credits from this, and this is what a lot of people will be farming. Also, if you're looking to get some type of urban MDR, showstopper, Barrett's Blueproof Vest, this is where you can get it. It also drops from the boss here at Lexington Event Center, so that is something else you guys can keep in mind. But for this playlist, to wrap it up, we have Falcon Loss, we have Grand Central Station, we have Times Square Power Relay, we have Lincoln Tunnel Checkpoint, and then we have Hudson Refugee Camp. Now for the mask, we have 3 new masks that will be available during this global event. If you look at them closely, they kind of look like another mask that we had recently on other global events. And I'm going to let you guys just think about it. It's pretty obvious. They just reskinned them. They put a panda on there, they put a flame, and then they put some teeth. I like all of them. I'm going to grind for them because I'm always grinding for all the masks. And I'll try to bring a video as soon as possible on the fastest and quickest way for you to get each mask. The next thing we're going to talk about is the global events vendor and what gear sets are going to be available. Right now, when you go to him after you watch this video, he should have the updated gear sets. The gear sets you see right now are the old gear sets. Now, the good thing about this global event, it's going to be the first global event that you can actually buy the specific gear set that you're looking for. The 4 gear sets that you guys are looking for are going to pop up right now, and it's the D3, Deadeye, Strikers, and Tactician. So these are the 4 sets you can get, is D3, Deadeye, Strikers, and Tactician. Once you go to this global events vendor, he's gonna have each set here. So if you're just missing 1 Tactician piece, you can buy that Tactician piece. Or if you're missing 1 Striker piece, you can buy that piece. Or you're missing 1 Deadeye piece, you can buy that piece. Or if you're missing 1 D3 piece, you can buy that piece. Now, if you don't have any of the sets and you're trying to get as many sets as possible, I would highly recommend you guys picking up the Superior Blackout caches. Now, this says Superior Ambush cache because the global event hasn't started. But once the global event starts, it will say Superior Blackout cache. Another thing you want to pay attention to is the global event activities. This is where you can pay attention to what tier you're in. Each tier level gives you a chance of getting those vanity items. Remember, tier 2 and tier 3 give you more vanity items, and then tier 3 gives you those weapon skins. If you want to get more vanity items, you want to be in tier 2. If you want to get the extra weapon skins, you want to be in tier 3. Sometimes you do get an extra piece of vanity item from tier 3. You got to try really hard to get into those top 2 tiers to get those special items. And the first thing I like doing as soon as the global event starts is I knock out all my weekly HVTs. Your weekly HVTs are located right here. The great thing about this is the bottom 2 are going to give you 750 GE credits plus whatever the bosses drop. So sometimes you'll get 2 bosses, sometimes you'll get 1 boss, just depending how many bosses, you'll get those 750 G credits plus the boss kill. Then there's some that give you 650, there'll be some that give you 550, and then some that give you 400. And that's how I like starting my global event. So one One other thing you guys can do is you can knock out the 15 open world bosses that you find around the world. Now, if you haven't seen my route, I would highly recommend you guys watching that video. I'll put a link above. The thing with this, guys, is each boss drops 150 GE credits, plus there's 15 of them, so that's 2,250 GE credits, and you can knock that out if you do a speed run of it, 25 to 30 minutes for 2,250 GE credits. And that's really easy for you guys to get. Plus, remember, they up the drop rate on those, so you have a chance of getting the house, the showstopper, the urban MDR. Any classified gear set can drop from the open world bosses. And that pretty much wraps up this video on Global Event Blackout. If you found this video useful, please hit the thumbs up. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. If you're new to my channel, it's the first time you're watching a video, hit that subscribe button. But I just want to say thank you guys again for all the support. Remember, if you don't see me in Last Stand, if you don't see me in Skirmish, if you don't see me in the Dark Zone, I'm probably grinding those maps for the Global Event. Nothing but skills is out.